my God, did we make it? Thank God for that. Hey,
We made it. How are you, mate?
oh, I'm great, dude. Yeah, it's been amazing to be back out like for the first time in months and months, like 6 months, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, what were you doing over summer?
Just writing an enormous amount, like an enormous amount of songs and going to a lot of pool parties on the weekends. You know,
That sounds all right.
it's not the worst job in the world.
Yeah, so I like that I can call you mate because even though you don't sound it, you're technically British, right?
Yeah, I was born in England, moved to Seattle when I was 4, and then back to Ipswich when I was 14, and then lived in England for 10 years.
Do you have a British passport?
Yeah, wholly British.
Okay.
But very much like mid-Atlantic, unloved by either side. So orphan child cast adrift in an endless sea.
Yeah. So moving from Seattle back to the UK when you were 14, what was that like? Like, that's a weird time to move countries, right?
Especially going from Seattle to Ipswich. Like the culture shock was massive.
Yeah.
I was going to like, a pretty decent school in Seattle. And then I found myself like in one of the worst council estates in Suffolk County, like walking 2 miles to school every day and like having guys like get out of their car, punch me in the back of the head twice, then get back in and drive off. And it was kind of great. It was kind of amazing because for the first time in my life, like they were more concerned about the guy that just burned the school gymnasium down than my grades and whether or not I was skipping classes to go and write songs with my friends in the fields.
You were writing songs back then. You started really early writing songs, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was always writing like bits and bobs, like from the age of like 6 or 7. But I think like I started learning the guitar when I was around 14.
What kind of songs were you writing when you were 6 or 7?
I literally remember it. I wrote a song about a happy yodeler.
Wow.
Who lived in the countryside. I can literally remember the melody.
Really? Do you think it might make it onto an album?
Yeah, maybe if I get really stuck for content, maybe I'll just kind of like revert back to all those songs that I wrote prepubescent.
If you can still remember the melody, then it must be a pretty good melody, right?
I don't know if that's like always the case.
Maybe not.
Yeah. Maybe that's my life's work. Maybe that's my opus, what I wrote when I was 6, but I feel like it's probably not.
So you're on tour now with Ramona Flowers, who I spoke to a couple of days ago. So tell them I said hi. You're going to be here in Montreal next week on the 11th. You play in what was known as the Corona Theatre, but is now known as the Beanfield Theatre. But you played there before. In fact, I think the last time you were in Montreal was you played at Corona with Wombats, right?
Wow. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a weird coincidence because the Wombats were meant to be playing there tonight, but they cancelled the tour.
No way. Why did they cancel?
I don't know. But yeah, it's a cool place. So you'll be back there. But this time you're going to be headlining.
Have you seen the Wombats live before?
I have. I was at a show.
They're really, really good.
Yeah, good fun band.
It's funny because like they're not the most like physically performative band, but the set and the sounds they put together are like so undeniably tight and interweave with each other in such like a profoundly effortless way that they're just as exciting as seeing like somebody like Steven Tyler, strut around the stage, but from a completely different angle. I thought it was really interesting how they were able to put together a soundscape like that was kind of so clear and vibrant. With just are they just a 3-piece? They're 4-piece.
I think 3-piece, if I'm right.
Yeah, with just a 3-piece.
Yeah. When we reviewed the show, our reviewer said about you that you were the support band, but you would never know that you were the support band because you put so much effort into the show and so many people knew all the words to your songs. So have you felt like this kind of growing popularity for a while now? Do you feel, because things are going really well for you?
I like the way Rick Rubin looks at it, in that all your creative efforts are just an offering to God, and you shouldn't really put too much of your time and effort and thought process into thinking about how big it's going to get, or how well it's doing. really like a real artist just thinks about the art, and it's something that like I have to really remind myself, because I get sucked into that trench of comparison quite a lot, or like the void of ideals, of where I want to be. And of course, it's important to know where you're going in life and have goals. But I think for me, at this particular moment in my life, the lesson I really am concentrating on learning is just how to put as much time and energy into the art itself, into the music and the live show, and the imagery and the artwork that's on the merch, all that kind of stuff. Because I think in the past, I'm very ambitious, and sometimes when I pay too much attention, to like, oh well, it's all coming up, Barnsey, it can distract me from what's important. You never know, do you? You just got to do what Andy Warhol says and make art. And while people are deciding whether or not they like it, just make more art, right?
Yeah, I love that quote, and I love that you quoted Rick Rubin as well. I have his book over there. So
it's probably one of the best books on the creativity that I've ever read. It's really amazing. It's amazing to hear in interviews as well that like so many people fought him on writing that book. Nobody wanted to publish it. So many people were saying, I think what people really would want is a book about your experiences with Johnny Cash and all the celebrities you've met and what they're like, and pulling back the curtain. And it's such a nice bow to tie everything off with for that book. The fact that he stuck to his guns, didn't write with the ideals of success or pleasing people or trying to second guess what the audience would like. He just wrote the book that he wanted to write, and it turned out to be incredible and extremely useful for people like me.
That'd be a bit of a dream of yours, to go to Shangri-La and make some music with him.
Yeah, it'd be amazing, wouldn't it? It'd be incredible.
Be a nice place to work. But yeah, are you living in LA now?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of homeless at the moment, kind of just like I live on this tour bus right now. That's true. Yeah, I've spent a lot of my career just kind of endlessly touring. It was actually like pretty jarring for me to spend so much time off the road when I got back to LA. Because I'm used to it. Like for most of the last decade, I've just been going round and round and round. So I feel more at home, I think, like on a tour bus, and I feel more of a sense of family and community and friendship when I'm like always with my band and my crew. I feel like one of those, prisoners that goes away for life and gets let out early for good behavior, and is like all freaked out by the real world. Like when I went away, there were only 2 cars on my street. Now it's full of them. I can't even move without them being there.
What makes a good show for you? Like, I feel like you're like kind of a bored entertainer, but when you're walking out onto a stage, what's going through your head? What's your goal for the show?
I try my best, and I don't always succeed, to be as meditative as possible when I go out. I think, a lot of the time the best shows are ones where my mind is very quiet and I'm very present and like just plugged in to the perceived source that most creatives feel is their connection to their art, to like that other dimension where ideas and performance comes from. Yeah, and really, like the best shows, I feel more like a conduit than I do like the actual generator of the performance. Sometimes, if I'm like really, really going through something like a breakup or like something's really riled me up, I can channel that energy into the show, and that can be useful. But for the most part, I find like a very quiet, like Zen state is the best.
What kind of music are you listening to on the bus?
What music are we listening to on the bus? We're playing a lot of Super Smash Brothers. mainly.
I'm sure that counts.
mainly just the background music to Super Smash Brothers. I don't think we listened to an enormous amount of music. We were last night, but I don't know what it was. I think our merch girl was playing a lot of country western.
Okay. So what music were you listening to when you grew up?
I think the first album I really loved was Nirvana's Nevermind, like predictably, But I think I didn't actually discover it until I left Seattle and moved to Ipswich. My dad had it on CD. And I had one of those like CD players that like you could barely fit in your pocket, like that you like needed to have your jeans resized, just like carry around, but always skipped. And not only like did I fall in love with it because of Kurt Cobain's ability to kind of like effortlessly channel teenage angst, but also because it felt like a solitary link back home. And I missed home a lot when I was a teenager, Seattle. So, and there was just something like infinitely captivating about Kurt's ability to write like an incredibly emotive chorus hook with like just one word and some balls. And then I listened to Little My Chemical Romance and Arctic Monkeys and like Seether. Do you remember that guy?
Yeah.
Remember Seether from back in the day and Crossfade?
Like post grunge.
Like those like American alt bands, yeah.
So speaking of Seattle, you're playing there soon, and you're going to be at the Showbox, which is kind of a legendary venue. So it's a nice homecoming, right?
Oh, it's so nice. It's so nice. Like my mom is, been ramming my music down everyone's throats that she knows, like since I wrote my first song about the yodeler. So there's always like a big gaggle of family there, and the last time we played the Showbox, they like wrote "Welcome Home" Barns on the thing. It's lovely, but it's quite like emotionally intense as well, because we try to finish the tours in Seattle, or at least like close to the end. So it's always like emotional to say goodbye to everyone, and then kind of like contrastingly weird to see my family, and it's like nice, but I also feel guilty because I can't pay as much attention to all my family members as I'd like to, because I'm like simultaneously trying to talk to fans and get ready for the gig. So, but overall, it's a really nice experience. It's nice to be able to kind of like bring this weird world that I've created that feels very separate to my family, like back home for a second.
So what's next for you after that?
I think probably like a lot more writing, and I think we'll probably do a European tour at some point in the near future. I've had an album like finished that I've been waiting to release for a couple of years, but I've been very unlucky with record labels, So, but we're signing this new deal with Avenue A under Virgin, so I think in a short space of time, everything should be back on track.
Yeah. So does Young in America, is that like a sign of what's to come?
No, not really. The album's like an ADHD love letter to careless frivolity. It's all over the place stylistically. And I don't know if that, helps or hinders me on a record. Sometimes people like to sign up to a specific cult with certain boundaries that they can affix to their own personalities. But I suppose my personality is quite all over the place, so it's a true expression of who I am at the very least. But I would say that, Young in America is just like the single that preceded it. It's quite different from the rest of the album. Wow. Supernatural was like a bubblegum pop song with a glam rock chorus. And Young in America is kind of like a Springsteen-y killer song. We've got like Iggy Pop punk tunes on this album. We've got like weird funk tunes about a cult leader dressed as Mother Teresa robbing a bank. It's pretty varied.
Okay. Well, I have no idea what it's going to sound like, but I look forward to hearing it when it arrives. And in the meantime, we look forward to seeing you next week in Montreal.
Oh, dude, I'm so grateful that you took the time to chat to me. And come and say hi in Montreal when we're out there.
Yeah, we'll do. So, enjoy the rest of your travels until then. And thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Oh, dude, likewise.